According to our friends at FanDuel, Canada is the favorite to win the Four Nations Faceoff in February between Canada, the U.S., Sweden, and Finland. U.S. is the second choice, followed by Sweden. And as far as the goaltending is concerned, Adin Hill, Jordan Binnington, and Stuart Skinner are co-favorites to start for Canada. Craig Button joins me once again as promised. It's been so long since we've seen an international best on best, Craig. We've never seen Connor McDavid play for the Canadian men's senior team ever. That's how long it's been. So when Connor McDavid does get an opportunity to play for Team Canada in that Four Nations face-off, who do you think his line mates should be?
Well, I don't think there's any question from my perspective that Zach Hyman has to be on either his left wing flank or his right wing flank. Zach Hyman has shown unequivocally that he can finish off so many of the brilliant plays that Connor McDavid creates. And, you know, people say, Jay, that it's easy to play with great players. No, it isn't. You have to be able to think at that level, and you have to be able to execute at their level. Zach Hyman, with 50-plus goals last season, showed that he can do that. And he hunts down pucks, and he plays along the boards, and I think he's just an excellent fit for Connor McDavid. Now, there's a lot of options, and I know that Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, who's played with with Connor McDavid and has been very good. You know what you have, but he's not the only one that could play in that situation. You think about Sidney Crosby, you think about Marchand and Crosby and Bergeron and how great they were. I think that Ryan Nugent-Hopkins checks a lot of boxes to be able to play with Connor McDavid, but I wouldn't be hesitant about having somebody like Nathan MacKinnon play on his right wing with all that speed. Can you imagine what defenders would be feeling, having those two guys coming down on you? That would be striking fear in the eyes of your opponents. And certainly there's going to be options. And one thing that I've always seen from Team Canada over the course of time, they go in with a plan and they go in with line combinations. Rarely does it finish the way they started. But I think that Team Canada has a lot of different options where they can play different players and who can play with Connor McDavid. But I have no doubt in my mind that Zach Hyman has to be one of those players playing alongside Connor McDavid. One other thing I want to add, I see that those odds favor Team Canada. I have to believe that Brian Hayes and Carlo Koliakovo were behind those odds because they are the de facto managers at TSN of Team Canada. So I can see how this works.
Yeah, I think you might be right about that one. You mentioned Nathan MacKinnon, and he's another player, Craig, who hasn't played internationally best on best for Team Canada at the senior level. Now, he admitted that he's even talked to Sidney Crosby, his fellow Cole Harbour native, about potentially playing together in this tournament at the Four Nations Faceoff. Could you see a scenario, and do you like that idea of MacKinnon? You mentioned you would love the idea of MacKinnon on the right side of McDavid. How about on the right side of Crosby on a line that Crosby centers? Do you like that idea just as much?
I do like that idea. I mentioned about Marchand, Crosby, and Bergeron being a great line, and I think that Marchand has to be the left winger with Sidney Crosby as I look at it as they start the tournament. But Nathan MacKinnon saying that I would love to play with Sidney Crosby on the right side. The speed, Sidney Crosby will get him the puck, the excitement of playing with somebody. It might be very similar, Jay, to the excitement that Mario Lemieux had playing with Gretzky. And in the same breath, the excitement that Gretzky had playing with Mario Lemieux. You have these two great players, both from Cole Harbour. Put Marchand there, and you have your Atlantic line. All from Nova Scotia, and I'd like the idea of those three guys, being a real factor for Team Canada trying to win the Four Nations Faceoff.
Boy, that sounds amazing, Craig. You're getting me excited about this thing. Canada, Finland, Sweden, USA. It'll take place in Montreal and Boston. It begins on February the 12th. It can't come soon enough. And we're going to be talking a lot about this tournament with this guy for the next several months. It's Craig Button.